All right. Hello, everybody. It's Coach Suzanne here. Um, and today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some arousal regulation and, in particular, some relaxation strategies. So, when I say arousal regulation, what I mean is when you're too over aroused, all right, meaning you're really overly activated. So, you might be feeling really anxious or overwhelmed. Um, or it might be that you're really excited. Okay, so anything that's really on that higher end of the activation scale. Whereas on the other side, it's where you're really calm, relaxed, maybe even bored. And obviously, during competition, we want our athletes to be kind of somewhere in the middle, which, depending on their event, depending on the sport, it might be a little bit different. But for the most part, we don't want them to be too highly aroused or too under aroused. Most of the time, what we see is that our athletes are on the higher end. Okay, so they are really nervous or anxious. So I'm going to talk to you guys about some relaxation strategies to help bring them back to that sort of middle, moderate level of arousal where they can really perform at their best. Okay, so I've got two different types of techniques. The first one is going to be muscle to mind techniques. All right, so what these are is we're going to relax the body to then in turn relax your mind. Okay. So some of these strategies include things like deep breathing. All right. There's also some muscle relaxation and then some body scans. Okay. So I'm going to go through those in just a minute. And then the other type that I'm going to talk about is mind to muscle. So that's the idea where when we calm our mind, our bodies can calm down as well. So some of those are things like mindfulness, imagery, um, listening to music, and a couple others that we'll talk about there. Okay, so I want to get started with the muscle to mind strategies. So, like I said, the first one is deep breathing. Okay, you might have heard us talk about this before. It's one of really the most powerful things you can do when you're nervous, when you're anxious, when you're worried, because it just gives you that second to one, calm the body. Like we said, we're going to calm down our body. And then that's going to give us time to kind of clear our mind, to put things into perspective, realize maybe something isn't um, as big of a threat as what we might have first assumed it was. Okay, so with our deep breathing, we want to do belly breathing. Okay, and if you haven't done this before, it's you're going to breathe through your diaphragm. So as you inhale, you're going to think about there being a balloon in your belly, right? So all the way down into your belly, and you want to fill that balloon up. Okay, so you're going to breathe in slowly through your nose, and you're going to expand your belly, really fill that belly up. And then as you exhale, you're going to slowly let the air out of your belly. Okay, and there's lots of different types of breathing techniques you can use. We have things like rhythmic breathing, where maybe you inhale for 4 counts, you hold it for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts. And you would might do that for like a minute, right? One of my personal favorite breathing strategies is called sighing with exhalation. So that's where you're going to inhale for 8 counts. You're going to hold it for 7 or 8 counts. And then you're going to exhale through your mouth and let out a big sigh. Okay, so let me show you an example. So I'm going to inhale, hold, and exhale. Right? So you're just, as you're doing it too, you can kind of use some imagery of getting rid of all the negativity, all of the stress, anxiety, anything that you want to think about. So that's one of my favorite breathing techniques. So another muscle to mind technique is called progressive muscle relaxation. Okay, so again, this might be something that you've heard us talk about before. This is where you're going to start from one end of the body, whether it's the head or the toes, and you're going to go through each muscle group. And as you do that, you're going to really visualize that muscle group and squeeze it, right? So if I'm starting at the bottom, maybe I'm starting with my feet, I'm going to think about my feet and I'm going to squeeze them, okay? As tight as I possibly can, maybe for 10 seconds, and then I'm going to release. And as I release, I'm thinking about, again, letting go of any of that negative energy, any of that anxiety goes away with it, right? So then I would move up my body. So I just did that with my feet. Now I'm going to do it with my calves. Okay, I'm going to squeeze, 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 and then let it go. Then I'm going to move up to my thighs and my quads. Again, squeeze and let it go. Right, so I would do that all the way up to my head. Okay, even when I get to my face, I crunch it up and I squeeze, 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 and then I let it go. All right, so that's called progressive muscle relaxation. And that's going to really help get you into almost a total relaxation. Again, it's going to depend on your sport. It's going to depend on maybe the event that you're doing. A lot of times you don't want to be completely relaxed at a competition or a game, but that might be a good one to do the night before. If you're somebody who can't sleep because you're thinking about, oh, I've got this big game tomorrow or this big meet, I'm worried about it. And that can help you actually fall asleep too, because it just puts you into that state of relaxation. And then my third muscle to mind technique is going to be doing body scans. So this is similar to the progressive muscle relaxation, but instead of doing it for my whole body, I'm just going to take 10 seconds to scan my body and see, where is there any tension? Where am I tight? Where do I feel a bit of stress? A lot of us carry some stress in our neck and shoulders. So just kind of taking a minute, do a quick scan of your body and say, ooh, I'm feeling some stress, some tension right here. Maybe I'll squeeze that and then let it go. Okay, and that's one that takes just a few seconds. So you can use it, in a game. You can use it if there's a timeout right before an event. All right, so that's the body scan. So those are my three muscle to mind. Okay, we had that deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, and then those body scans. So again, that's the idea that when we calm our body, our mind is going to be more calm, more relaxed as well. And then the other type that I mentioned is that mind to muscle. Okay, so we're going to relax the mind, and then that's going to relax our body. So one of my favorite ones for the mind to muscle is listening to music. All right, it's actually really cool that our body responds to the type of music and to the beat of music, right? So our heart rate is going to try to match the beat of the music. So if you're trying to make your playlist, all right, maybe your pre-competition playlist, you don't want to put a lot of really fast songs on there, okay? If you're trying to relax, right? If you're trying to pump yourself up, absolutely. If you need to bring it down a little bit, look at slower songs, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be like classical music, but think of some of your favorite songs that have a slower beat. Because like I said, your heart rate is actually going to try to match the beat of the music. And we know that one of the things that tells us that we're nervous is when our heart rate speeds up. So it's hard to feel calm when your heart is racing, right? So if we can get some slower music, that can slow down our heart rate, and that makes us feel a little bit calmer, a little less anxious and nervous. Okay, so making a playlist with those slower songs is a good strategy for relaxation. Another good strategy is imagery. Again, something you might have heard us talk about quite a bit. We love to use imagery, but one of the ways with relaxation you can use imagery is it doesn't necessarily have to be you imagining your performance. Okay, you don't have to use imagery just for, learning a new skill or imagining a routine. Okay, you can use imagery to think about anything. So if you're going to use it for relaxation, you might imagine, your happy place, wherever that is. Maybe that's hanging out in your room with your friends. Maybe it is on a beach or some vacation that you went on where you just felt really calm and relaxed, right? Anytime we use imagery, we want to be sure we use all of our senses. Okay, so we're not just visualizing, it's not just close your eyes and think about it. You want to use, your sense of hearing, of smell, of taste, touch, right? Everything that you possibly can to transport yourself to that place. Okay, the whole purpose of imagery is to almost trick our minds into thinking that we're somewhere else. So, figure out what is relaxing to you. Like I said, maybe it's just at home, chilling on the couch, watching TV. If that's your happy place, if that's where you feel calm, then use that. If it is on a beach or if it is, um, you know, going somewhere, maybe you went to the Grand Canyon and you saw, or you went to the mountains, right? Wherever you feel peaceful, relaxed, okay, that should be where you use your imagery, all right? And then my third mind to muscle technique for you guys is using mindfulness, all right? And mindfulness really just means awareness. It means being in the present moment, all right? So not allowing yourself to think about the future or the past or what's even coming up in the next 30 seconds. It's what's happening right here, right now, okay? So right now, I'm going to just notice my breath. I'm going to notice what's going on around me. And maybe I do notice, oh, I feel a little bit anxious. Oh, I'm noticing that my heart is racing. Okay. And as you notice it, you can maybe then use one of those other techniques. Okay. Oh, my heart is racing. Maybe I need to take a deep breath right now. A couple deep breaths. And now I feel a little bit better. All right. So using mindfulness just to build awareness. It's hard to make any changes if we're not even aware of what we need to change yet. So we don't even realize how anxious we are. So using that mindfulness to build the awareness, and that can tell you, all right, I'm feeling those butterflies in my stomach. That's my cue to do some progressive muscle relaxation. That's my cue that, I'm going to go over to this corner for just a couple minutes by myself and do some imagery. Take some deep breaths. If I can, listen to my slower playlist to help bring my heart rate down. Right? So that's how we can use mindfulness. Just again, build that awareness and stay in the present moment. Okay, so those were my mind to muscle techniques, right? Listening to music, using positive, relaxing imagery, and using mindfulness to help build the awareness. So with any of these things too, using cues, using that mindfulness is really important. I have some athletes who just like to maybe write on their wrist, like breathe or relax. Of course, we love our wristband trick where, all right, I'm taking my wristband off this one, putting it on the other wrist. That's my cue, relax. Okay, so using those types of cues to remind ourselves when it's time to take that deep breath, when it's time to relax because you are getting too anxious. All right, that's all I have for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed, and please leave us comments. Let us know if you try any of these techniques and what works for you. All right, guys, have a good night. Bye.